Pawo Lobga Rangzen was a beautiful person, kind, dedicated, totally determined. When I saw footage of his self-immolation posted online, I could not believe my eyes. Like so many of you, I felt so many emotions all at once. Shock, horror, sadness, frustration, anger. For those who knew him best, who worked alongside him day after day, month after month in New York and beyond, I know these last weeks have been an overwhelming roller coaster of emotions. Our compatriots in this struggle are the ones who understand us best. Both our motivation, our hope, our sadness, our deepest frustrations. Every time they take action and they show up, they give us the encouragement to keep showing up too. Pawo Lobga Rangzen was always taking action, always showing up. His absence will be felt by you most acutely. And to his friends, his family, and to the community here in New York City who knew him so well, on behalf of Tibet Action, me, my family, my husband, and my 3 boys are here. I offer my deepest condolences. It's hard for people, most people, to understand even a single act of self-immolation. It's nearly impossible to understand. More than 170 Tibetans have taken this most painful action. This is partly because the act itself is incomprehensible, but it's also because Tibetans most often move through this world in a way that belies the depth of the grief and pain we carry over China's genocidal rule in our homeland. For decades now, the vast majority of our people have gone to work, raised their kids, and lived their daily lives in exile with remarkable humor, positivity, love, friendship to their fellow citizens. But just beneath the surface, there lives a constant, terrible, heartbreaking anguish over China's decades-long assault on the Tibetan people, on our nation, on our language, on everything we hold dear and sacred, our religion, our culture, our precious teachers, our scriptures, our temples, our mountains, the grasslands. I know this anguish was especially profound for my pala, for my father's generation, who knew life in a free Tibet before the Chinese occupation, who knew the truth of Tibet's independence because they lived it. They experienced it. Rangzen, self-sovereignty, firsthand, they lived it. And that was an existence where, for better or worse, Tibetans were in charge of their own lives, where parents decided what was best for their children and could teach them to do what parents everywhere do, to speak like them, to live like them, to worship like them. In Tibet today, Tibetan parents have even been stripped of this right. 3 out of every 4 school-aged children are in China's colonial boarding schools, residential boarding schools. This means an entire generation is being forcibly assimilated. Approximately 1 million Tibetan children. But what it doesn't mean is that Tibetan resistance will end. It doesn't mean that freedom or even Rangzen is impossible. For even if China were to succeed in cutting the mother tongue from Tibetan children and turning them against their identity for a time, this next generation will ultimately find their way back to their true selves. Just as Tibetans who grew up during the Cultural Revolution did. Just as those who were sent to the inland boarding schools in China did. They may have to struggle to reclaim their identity, but that struggle will only make them stronger and more resilient. They may have to relearn the language and the teachings, They may not look or sound like what we consider traditional Tibetans to look or sound like, but what matters is that they are Tibetan. They're Pibas. They're people of the snowland. They're descendants of warriors who have survived for thousands upon thousands of years in one of the most extreme environments on this earth. The roots of the Tibetan people run deep into the bedrock of the plateau. They rise again into our sacred mountains, where our deities still reside and are continuing to protect us. I think they're calling us to fight for them, for the land, for the mountains, for the Dharma, and not just because it's good for us, but because it benefits all the world around us too. And I know it may sound far-fetched from where we stand right now, but I'm certain the Tibetan people and the Tibetan nation will outlast this horror of China's occupation. We will outlast the Chinese Communist Party's rule in Tibet. The only thing we have to do is fight, to never give up, never allow them to write our story. Only we do this. For more than 7 decades and against all odds, a relatively small population numbering approximately 7 million people has stood against one of the most populous nations, most vicious and violent regimes this world has ever seen, and we're still standing. How? With sheer grit, total determination, deep faith, and true compassion. If we're determined to fight for our rights and freedom and for our language and for our right to be Buddhists and to worship the Dalai Lama when the time, whatever may come, they can't stop us. It's up to us. It's completely up to us. And Lobga Rangzen knew this. And when I think about how to honor his sacrifice, I find myself looking at the life he lived, his devotion to serving the nation and the cause of Tibetan independence, and to his final words, which told us to recommit ourselves to unity, to work harder to get along, to keep celebrating and practicing Tibetan culture, to continue to struggle for the liberation of our homeland. And now the greatest way we can honor his sacrifice is to answer the call. Take action every day, in whatever way you can. And also protect and care for every precious person in our movement. We need every Tibetan to keep living, to keep fighting alongside each other, no matter what comes. I believe Lobga Rangzen's final act was to wake us up to our own potential. It's both a tragic and extraordinary action, and it won't be in vain if it strengthens our resolve to live, to unite, to carry forward the work which he dedicated his life until Tibet is free and independent. Once again, free Tibet! Free Tibet! Free Tibet! Free Tibet! Free Tibet!